So preparing for winter in Michigan. So first we're going to talk about the weather, of course. First things first, it's very cold. Um, I have the list of temperatures right here. So the average highs and lows to give you an idea. We have the Fahrenheit, or if you like Celsius better. So during the daytime, January, February, and March kind of have an average of like 31, 34, and 46 for the highs of the day. Or in Celsius, you get like 0, 1, or 8. So very close to freezing all day long, very cold. And then at night, you'll see the low temperatures get into 19, 20, 28, or again, Celsius, -7, -7, -2. So just prepare like to give you an overall idea of what it looks like. And just remember that the temperatures change throughout the day. So you might have warmer temperature around like 12 to 3 p.m. And then as the sun starts to set, it'll get very cold, very dark early. I know you've all lived through it already, but just reminders, the wind chill can get really bad. It can take it below the temperatures that you see here. So just make sure you dress for cold, windy, and dry weather because it's a nightmare sometimes, but as long as you prepare for it, it's not too bad. And then just a little bit about snow. So again, you see my beautiful background, some nice snow here. Michigan is a lovely place because we do get it. In January, we tend to get 17 inches, or if you like centimeters, 43-ish centimeters. So a good chunk of snow throughout the month. It's not all at once though. It normally falls at like 2 to 3 inches. And so it's just enough that you can go sledding and have fun, but not too much, generally speaking. And then that kind of fizzles out in March. We get a lot less snow. And by April, you'll have the occasional snowstorm, but nothing real. So you've seen a little bit of snow now. It's actually pretty bare compared to normal. So I've been told. Yeah, so just if you like the snow like me, it's nice, but if you don't, so now a little bit about clothing. So as you can see, we're going to talk about fashion. I'm nice and bundled up in my warm apartment right now. And so on that note, remember to dress for indoors. It's very cold outside, but sometimes inside it gets really hot. So right now I'm not really dressed for sitting in my room. But the solution is layers. You can see just a recommendation as you're getting ready in the morning. Remember that you'll be sitting in classrooms or Zooming from your apartment. So you want to make sure that what you wear, you can also take off. So like bundle up for when you're outside, but maybe wear leggings underneath your pants and nice little sweaters that you don't get too hot in while you're inside. And then we recommend a good brand is Uniqlo, if you know it. They have their Heat Tech thermal wear, and that's a really nice layer of clothing that you can wear next, like the first layer that you put on, and it keeps you nice and warm throughout the day. So definitely recommend that. Then adding the long sleeves, then the sweaters, the cardigans, sweatshirts, hoodies, etc. And I recommend having warm socks. I just think they're nice. They make you feel a lot better because you lose a lot of heat from your feet, your hands, and your head. So just to prepare. And then just as a resource, when you're looking through the slides later, this is an example of how to dress for the different temperatures. So chilly, 1 to 2 layers should be fine. Some warm shoes. It's helpful if they're waterproof for the snow. So we recommend good waterproof boots. And then when it gets a little colder, add on an extra layer. So another sweater, an extra jacket, maybe layer up on the pants and a nice hat. And then when it gets really cold, so when the temperatures are getting into freezing or below, that's when we recommend really bundling up multiple layers, add on. I've got my gloves right here for the snow. So bring your gloves. Yeah, just all the basics. And then I really want to get the clothes there. So I threw in another slide about the walk to class. So again, remember layers are the most important part. You have tight layers and then you have your sweaters and then your jackets. So just make sure lots of layers. It's also helpful if you tuck your pants into your boots. So you see how her leggings on the socks are tucked in at the bottom. It's just nice to keep your pants out from the snow when you're walking to class. And having waterproof material for the snow, so a waterproof jacket. If you have a pair of snow pants, they're really nice if you're trying to stay outside for a while so you don't get soaked through with the snow. And yeah, just again, the basics, hats, gloves, a scarf. And then the next slide, I have some options on where you can buy some of this material. So my favorite spot is Salvation Army. I have the address here, and again, we'll have the resources. But so Salvation Army is a really nice store in town that sells used clothes for very cheap. So I got my sweater right here from Salvation Army, and I bought a lot of sweaters when it started to get cold. And I got all of them for like 20 bucks, like 10 sweaters. And then another two local stores are Moose Jaw and Bivouac. So these are a little bit more expensive, but they have really high quality jackets, high quality just winter clothing. This one is like outdoor shop too, so it's especially good if you're going on hikes or if you like to go skiing. So if you have money to invest, those are good local spots. And then just again, for the resources, we've got some online brands that are really nice to shop from too. So Columbia is very good quality. Kohl's, JCPenney, and Target have just really basic things that you might need for a low price. I'm wearing a jacket from LL Bean, which is a company from Maine, and I really like it for my winter clothes, and it's slightly pricier. And then North Face is a little bit more pricey, but again, great quality. So if you see that brand on anything, it's really good for the winters here. And then we'll move to getting around town. So as you've seen, I'm sure, walking in the snow and on ice is very difficult. A lot of the sidewalks look like this in Ann Arbor right now. So just really pay attention when it's dark outside, especially as you're walking to class in the morning, or if you have a late class in the evening. I was just telling Jake, I fell this weekend on some ice. Now I have a really bad bruise on my elbow and my hip. And I lost the chicken noodle soup that I was holding, and now it's frozen to the ground. So definitely be careful. And it's really helpful if you have the right shoes for it too. So maybe don't wear your running sneakers on the ice. If you have winter alternatives, it's super helpful. And then you can always throw them in your bag and put on your nice shoes when you get to where you're going if you want to dress up. But definitely try to invest in boots for walking around town. And then we also a little bit about winter transportation. So I don't know if anyone here has a vehicle, has a car, but if you do, just some things to keep in mind. Never keep your car on in your garage or in an enclosed space. It's really dangerous because of the CO2 that it releases, like the car emissions. So don't leave it on inside. Make sure your tires are properly inflated so that they don't flatten while you're driving, because with the changes in temperatures, it can really affect the quality of your tires' air. Keep your gas tank at least half full. Don't use cruise control when driving on slippery surface, wet or ice or sand. Just all the basics to remember. And make sure that you allow a little bit more time stopping when you're braking, just because as people cross the street, they might slip on ice, or maybe there's a patch that you didn't see as you're driving. So just be super hyper aware of what you're doing on the car. And then, yeah, just the basics. Don't forget your seatbelt, and always have an ice scraper or a brush to clear off your car when it snows. And then just be careful. As you see, this is a picture of a bus that looks like it got a little run through the snow. And so just keep aware of what you see cars doing as you're walking around town too. And then if anybody likes to ride their bicycle, you might have noticed it's a lot more difficult in the winter. Road conditions aren't very good. It's sandy, it's salty, it's sunny, it's snowy. And so just the roads are a lot more slippery. So I don't recommend riding your bike around town unless you really need to. If you do, be aware of the slippery patches, watch out for bumpy roads. Just like if you were driving, brake only on the rear tire. So if you have handlebar brakes, do it for the back tire, because that way you won't spin out forward if you hit a chunk of ice. Just be prepared to slip. It will happen sometimes if you ride it in the snow. And just watch out, because cars don't expect people to be on their bikes in the winter. So if you're riding around, they might not be aware of you. So just make sure you're wearing bright clothing, have lights on your bike, and again, just super aware of your surroundings. And then, So that's all the like transportation and fashion stuff. Now we're going to get into the fun of winter because it's my favorite season. So just some activities that you can do. Sorry, my computer's a little slow right now. Okay. Sorry, skipped a couple. Okay, perfect. So for fun in the snow, these are some basics you might have done already after the first snowfall. And if you haven't yet, I definitely recommend it. So the classics, building a snowman, having a snowball fight, going sledding, making a snow angel, skiing and snowboarding, just lots of fun, different activities to do in the snow. So don't let the cold make you scared. It's a lot of fun to be outside with your friends. And then there's also other activities to do around campus right now in the winter weather. I don't know if you've ever seen a Michigan ice hockey game. I went for my first time a couple weeks ago with a friend, and it was a lot of fun. So I put down when their next game is. This is walking distance from campus at the Yost Ice Center. Their next game is February 2nd, and ice hockey is just a lot of fun. If you like watching men get in fights on ice, or it's a sport that you've never seen before, I just think it's really cool, and I highly recommend you go and support the team if you have the time. And they have really good food, hot dogs and other just like nice arena food. It's like going to the football games. And then here's a beautiful photo of me ice skating a couple weeks ago on that same ice arena. So the Yost Arena actually has open skate. I put the schedule here. So again, you can save the resource and look back at this, or you can go to their website at yost.umich.edu. I went with some of my new friends, and it was a lot of fun because students, if you have your ID, it's $4 to enter. And if you don't have skates of your own, you can rent them for $3. So that's what I did. I'm wearing a pair that they let me rent. So it's $7 for like an hour or two, depending on how long it's open. And it's just a lot of fun. I definitely recommend trying ice skating if you haven't before. Just be prepared to fall because it'll happen. Next, we have sledding in Ann Arbor. I'm a huge fan of sledding. I made my friends go with me the first time that it snowed here. This video is actually my friend on my sled that my mom got me for Christmas because she knows how much I love it. So these are some places to go. The Huron Hills Golf Course, which we've got the address and the phone number you can call in case you have questions about the conditions. You do have to bring your own sled, so invest in that. Or there's the Rolling Hills County Park. This one's in Ypsilanti, but it actually has sledding and toboggan rentals. So you can go and actually just rent a sled so you don't have to have your own to do it. And then you can also hang out in their lodge, and the daily pass is $5 for county residents. And then their website has more details about how to get those passes. And then last, Veterans Park, that's actually where this one was. And yeah, so this is my friend Ramsey going sledding. It's his birthday today, actually. And just a lot of fun. This was a good spot, and I thought I could give you an idea of what it looks like. There was also a little kid going in the other way, and he wiped out. So, but yeah, so definitely recommend going sledding if you have a chance. Just be prepared to run up hills after the fact. And then, so not only do you have things to do outside, but I get maybe you don't want to be cold all the time. So I've got some winter fun for indoors too. During the winter, it's really popular to just get together with friends, playing board games, just reading by the fire, watching movies. You can attend a University of Michigan performance for one of the arts. So we have a couple different campus bands. We've got some different plays that go on over the winter. So you can check out different performances. And then you can just kind of have fun decorating your apartment for the winter, put up some extra lights or snowflakes. And I'm a huge fan of baking. I make cookies almost every day. I probably should stop, but they're really good. So and it's a nice way to warm up your apartment is if you have the oven on while you're baking. So I definitely recommend that. And this is nice too, because you can do like the board games or movie nights over Zoom with your friends, just in case you're a little nervous about COVID and having fun indoors. Or you can do this in person if you're comfortable with that. So just some ideas to get you through the winter. Next, like I said, I really like baking. So we're going to talk a little bit about food and drinks that you can have throughout the winter. First of all, number one priority is hot chocolate. So here's a little list of places to get some hot chocolate in Ann Arbor. And if you click on the links, these go straight to their websites to tell you where and when you can get it. My favorite is Lab Cafe. I am obsessed with their hot chocolate. I think they do a great job, and it's really close to where I have class. It's by the movie theater in town. So if you like to go to the movies, you can grab a cup of hot chocolate from there. And then I also just put up this little recipe I found to make it for yourself at home. Yeah, so you can save this, and if you ever make it, let me know. And then another important part of the winter is that you can eat comfort foods all the time. So comfort foods, they're the foods that make you happiest. It's really nice to have some nice warm foods in the winter, especially if you just came back from class and you were walking in the cold. So for me, I put my favorite comfort foods for the winter. I really like ramen. I love soup with grilled cheese. I like mac and cheese that my mom makes back home, and I finally learned the recipe. And then, like I said, I love to bake, so cookies and brownies. And food really affects your mood. So in the winter, and we'll get into this a little bit, we have a thing called seasonal depression because it's so dark and cold outside for so long. I know it really affects people. And so something that just makes a lot of people happy is having a good comfort food around them to help bring your mood up a little bit. So the calories don't count in the winter. You can eat what you want. And then we've got, okay, I said the calories don't count, but we do have to stay a little bit healthy. So for the winter, it's also important to make sure that you're able to keep active. I know it's tempting to stay indoors all the time, but it's really important to find good exercises that you can do indoors if you don't feel comfortable jogging on the ice outside, or if you don't have a good place to go work out. So there's lots of different resources for winter exercises you can do online. If you ever need a recommendation, I've got a huge list of them that my brother sends me because he's judgy. So I definitely recommend staying active. And then here's just a nice little list of winter snacks, just little things to eat to keep up your protein and getting all the little calories that you need throughout the winter. Definitely make sure you're still eating fruits and vegetables. I know a lot of them aren't in season, but you can still get them from the local food market over in Carytown. And then, grocery stores will still have things that you need. And then just generally staying healthy. Make sure in the winter, it's really easy to pass along sickness because we are staying inside more. And with COVID, especially, make sure you're washing your hands regularly, avoiding contact with someone who is sick. Just keeping your place clean so that you're not bringing in outside germs, drinking plenty of water, just like you should all year round, but it's especially important in the winter because people forget. So water, hot tea, soup, just get those liquids. Avoid alcohol and caffeine, like not fully, but to the extent that you're comfortable with, because it does dehydrate and makes you in a pretty bad state. Make sure you're getting plenty of sleep. I know sleep cycles are off because of how dark it is in the morning and how dark it gets during the day, but just make sure you're trying your best. And then it's also helpful because it's hard to get some important vitamins throughout the winter just because of lack of access to the right foods or not being outside in the sun enough. So think about maybe taking a vitamin or a supplement to get some of those key things like vitamin C and zinc, just to keep your immune system up and protected against the winter cold. And then lastly, don't forget your flu shot and your COVID booster if you haven't gotten it yet. So you can get those at the University Health Services, CVS, and Walgreens are all options for getting these if you haven't had the chance yet. I really recommend getting the flu shot if you hadn't. And again, the booster is required on campus. So definitely try to sign up for that, and we'll have the resource listed online. And then also, we know getting sick is a thing in the winter. Don't stress if you get sick. Professors are aware that COVID's still going on and that flu season is still in. So if you're sick, don't go to class. Just look at your syllabus. Make sure you have a clear understanding of what your professor wants when you're out. And then send them an email. It's always helpful. So if you ever have to miss class because you're worried that you're sick or you were exposed to someone who was sick, immediately send your professor an email and just tell them, I won't be able to come in today because I'm not feeling well or someone around me wasn't. Let me know what I can do to make up what I missed, and just make sure you're keeping up with your assignments in the time that you are sick. And then after you feel better, try to attend office hours to catch up. And then if you have any big projects or assignments due, make sure you're just communicating with your professor on that. Don't be afraid to ask for an extension. And if you have an exam, try to change it in advance. So if you have time, try to do that. And then lastly, just COVID testing on campus. This is a link to where you can do that. So again, if you're nervous about being exposed, or you just want to do a weekly testing to make sure you're in the clear so that you can keep going to class with no problem, definitely recommend just doing the weekly testing through campus. I do it at Ross, the business school, every week. Okay, and so now coping with winter and seasonal depression. So you can see in our beautiful little snow globe, we have a lot of snow, but she's pretty sad. And that's because in the winter, it really does affect you to be outside in the cold and having it dark all the time, not getting that sunlight that you need to boost up your environment and make you a little bit happier throughout the day. So something that's really helpful if you're feeling kind of depressed throughout the winter is sun lamps. So that's that bottom picture where the girl is reading. We actually have sun lamps on campus in the wellness zone in the Union. So that's the place where, if you haven't been, they've got a cafe in the basement with a lot of different restaurants that you can buy from. And this is on the 4th floor of the building, and they actually have massage chairs too. So you can go and sit in a massage chair and then turn on the sun lamp and hang out for 15 to 45 minutes. And that's just a little boost to your system to help you get through the winter. And I have some friends who told me that this one that I linked to Amazon is really good. So if you want to have a little one, my friends like to turn it on when they get ready in the morning to help wake them up as if they're getting ready with the sun. So definitely consider investing in sun lamps or using the ones on campus. Again, don't forget about comfort foods. Eat those brownies and cookies and ramen, and give yourself a little treat when you need it. Keeping active is good for your health and also for your mental health. So again, make sure you're getting in those exercises or activities where you can and when you can. It's really important to keep it up, even if it's just like dancing and having karaoke night in your own apartment. Anything helps. And then if you do feel like you need to talk to someone or you need a little extra attention, then we have the CAP services on campus for counseling and psychological services. So they're open if you ever need to talk to someone getting through the winter. We also have the Wolverine Wellness if you're feeling ill or you need to address something going on. And then we put the link for the recreational sports facilities, just so you can know where on campus you can actually go and work out to, again, help out with those moods. And the recreational sports center is really nice because you can play like a pickup game of basketball if you like that. Some of them have treadmills or just general workout rooms, and there's group activities for like dance classes and stuff. So lots of different ways to get active and have fun and try to beat the winter blues. And then, if this works, perfect. Oh, sorry. Okay, and now we've got some upcoming events for Jake.
Yeah, so I just wanted to highlight a couple upcoming events the International Center is doing in case you're looking for additional things to do during the winter. So hopefully you found out about this event because you're interested in attending. Well, obviously you're interested in preparing for a Michigan winter, but hopefully you're also interested in International Center events and connecting with others. So the first event that I want to highlight is called the International Student Lunch Conversation, which is actually happening tomorrow. Unfortunately, it will be happening virtually, but we do plan on transitioning to an in-person International Student Lunch Conversation starting in February. We were planning the whole time to have it in person, but because of the spread of COVID, I guess all over the US, but especially on campus, we decided to transition all of our January events to virtual in the hopes that they can transition back to in-person. But basically, International Student Lunch Conversation is an event that we co-sponsor with CAPS, Counseling and Psychological Services. And we just talk about life as an international student, both in the United States and at U of M. And we share resources of different things to do, different types of maybe mental health resources or any other different types of resources like places to go during break, different places to eat on campus, just any general things that international students might be interested in. And it's also an opportunity for our international students to connect with each other. So highly recommend you attend tomorrow if you're interested. And if we do transition back to in-person, which I'm hoping that we will in February, we will be providing lunch as well. So if you're looking for a free lunch, that might be a good event as well. And then next, at the end of this week, we have a U of M Library Basics event. This might be especially helpful for any new international students or scholars. And it's just basically a U of M librarian will be sharing resources and services that the library and libraries at U of M have available for students, especially if you're trying to complete any research projects or write any papers. The library has so many resources that even when I was a student at U of M, never fully took advantage of. So this will be really, really helpful. It's not as much of a social event. We're hoping those will be able to ramp up kind of after this COVID craziness of January. But yeah, so stay tuned and look out both in our international student newsletter and on our website for other events that we have going on.
Okay.
So yeah, with that said, I guess that concludes, the formal presentation part. So thank you, Shaylin, for that. Do any of you have any questions for us?